Welcome back to the course Make It Work React Hooks by Fang. This is the fourth video in the series, Make Your Own Hooks.
In the previous use effect videos, we have searched through a list of Pokemons from an online API. If you haven't noticed, when we were displaying the search results, we also get console log errors, depending on what you searched for. Closer look at the error message tells us the picture link we asked to download happens to be broken. So I guess not all Pokemon has a valid picture. That's okay. But when it happens, a user probably wouldn't be happy to see a broken picture logo and an error message in the console, because seeing them normally would make people think the site isn't well built. So we need to find a way to address this issue. We know the problem is coming from the image element where it loads the picture. So let's try to find this element first. Okay, it's in the Pokemon search we built in the past videos. And here is the image element. And it's given by the source. So basically the source of one of the image actually is broken. So let's find a way to address this issue. So let's try to create a folder called a component. And inside, let's add a component called avatar. Yeah. So basically, it's displaying the Pokemon avatar. Yeah, give it a name, avatar. So let's start to write some code. We know we're probably going to use a state. So that's first imported from React. And start with the component name. Okay, here we forgot something. Yeah, so we need to define the input to the avatar interface. So here we want to pass in the name of the Pokemon and also the source to download, which is image URL. Okay, now we can come back and using this definition. All right, so inside the body of the avatar, for now we just return empty. Let's just try to pass the comparison. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so now we have this new file. All right, let's go back to polish it up. So the logic here is we want to know when it actually will give us the error. So let's define a state first to capture this instance of the downloading error. And we also want to define event. When this happens, we want to set the error flag to be true. So with the error state, now the first thing we want to set up is to think about what to display when there is error. So we're going to continue with the CSS module approach that we introduced on the previous video. So basically, we can write a style in a file called avatar.module.css. Here, we're going to give a border and make a radius 50%, basically make it a circle. And let's fix the width and height to be a square. So this is a perfect circle. And now with that set up, we can come back and see if we can finish the display layer of the avatar. So based on the error flag, if it's true, then we'd like to use a error display. And if it's false, then we want to continue with the original display. So, okay, so here we need to import the style that we just established from the avatar.module.css. After import, we can just reference the missing style here, okay? And we also want to display the name of the Pokemon and to know which one actually failed. All right, so if there's no arrow, we'd like to copy, that's fine, the old line. Okay, we want to copy the image back over here, and that's when we want to display the old one. Okay, and since we passed the source, we can just set a source here and the name here as well. Cool. So now there's only one thing left which we have to fix is how does the image know when there's arrow? Okay, luckily image element does has an event. When there's arrow, it will send trigger the on arrow event here. So that's where we wired it together. Okay, so now we have everything written. It's just a matter of wire this avatar and replace it to the original locations of the image element. So let's go there and locate that. And basically we want to swap it. All right, so let's see how to import the new avatar. Oh, okay. Let's set up some quick export so that we don't have to dig into this folder. We can just export from here using the index.tsx. Let's import it and export it right away. Yeah, as a default one. So this way we can just address the folder instead of individual files when we import it back. All right, so // components and then avatar. All right, we might simplify this process in the future, but for now, I think this is good enough. All right, and so now since we have import the avatar, we can just replace it here, and with the source to be exactly like that, and name. Okay, I made some mistake. Yeah, I should have used the old p.name because we don't have a name there. Yep. Cool. So, all right. So let's see if everything still works. All right, let's go back to our application. Let's refresh this page. All right, type the same ch. And now, oh, we still see the console log arrow. But let's scroll to the missing picture part. Okay, now we don't see the broken picture. Instead, we see a circle that we did. All right. However, we still see the error log. I think this is generated by the browser, so there's not much we can do about it. Yeah, but we can polish it up here a little bit. For example, let's give it a margin so that it doesn't overlap with the text on the top. Yeah, yeah, give it a little bit more or something. Yeah, we can set the font size and let's make it uppercase and make the color to be gray. All right, cool. And the one thing that we notice is the text is pretty long, so it doesn't fit into the circle. So there might be a way we can fix that. So before that, let's first to see if we can align the text a little bit aware with the circle, maybe make it a little bit centered, both in the vertical and horizontal. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, it's definitely better. But we need to address the long text. So, all right, let's try to go back to our file. Let's see if we can just write a quick function to shorten the text a little bit. All right, so we're just gonna do an ad hoc one. We don't need anything too sophisticated. Basically, given a string passed in, we want to return the string to be first split into the dash, because we noticed all the Pokemon names has a dash in it. And then maybe we just take the first letter of each part. This way we only get PS instead of the long name. So for each of the part, as a string, we only take the first character. Yeah, this is probably gonna serve us good. Let's give a shot. So now we have a short function. We just go back to the name and put the short in. All right, let's run it. Oh, much nicer. Yeah. So even now we're missing a picture, but at least it doesn't look like a broken anymore. So this is definitely a good thing for our customer. Maybe come back to give the make the circle a little bit bigger. Yeah, even better. Okay, cool. I think we finished this component avatar. Let's slow down and revisit the avatar component we wrote, especially the first few lines involving the state arrow. The state is a Boolean type, and since we need to flip it from false to true, we also wrote a function to change it so we can plug this function to any event. A Boolean state that can be switched back and forth, turned on and off, reminds me something quite genetic in real life, for example, a light bulb or anything that can be toggled. Therefore, I had an idea maybe I can extract these lines out to be potentially more useful. Let's see what I mean in code. Let's create a new function. Say useToggle. And I want to copy these couple lines over and also improve the name of the variables a little bit. So say I create a state as a value and give it the Boolean type initial value false, and also untoggle function, which basically flip the value when it's triggered. And most importantly, I want to return the value and untoggle functionality as a return of this function. Okay, now let's plug this function back to our old version. They do not look very different, so it's easier for us just to rewrite it. We can just say arrow and maybe unarrow, because that's the function we return. And instead of calling useState, we call useToggle. Okay, so we can see our avatar component becomes shorter. And another advantage is that the code becomes more meaningful and manageable. For instance, if we want to improve or fix the toggle behavior, we can go dig into this useToggle function. Say we want to support the initial value of toggle to be true. Right now, you can see the initial value is always to be false to start. So that's, we can just go to the useToggle function and adding a new input, initial value, and then wire with the useState at initial value. You can see this change is quite straightforward, and we have a location to change this behavior if anything happened to useToggle behavior. Okay, we want to make sure everything's still working, especially after we have encapsulated a toggle behavior into its own units. Maybe you have already guessed, this whole process is about making a custom hook. Yes, and this function is called a hook, a custom hook. Because the hook function normally is reusable, we tend to create a folder and put all our hook functions inside. So let's create a folder, hooks, and under it, let's just say we create a file called useToggle.ts. We can copy the function over. We are also missing useState. So let's import that, and then we can export the useToggle. Okay, so now we come to this question, what is a custom hook? A custom hook, as in useToggle, is a function, but you can say it in the other way. For instance, if you say all functions are hooks, that would be wrong. That is very important to remember. If you take a closer look at the hook function, you can see it can be invoked outside the context of React due to the usage of useState, useEffect, and etc. This is saying if you notice a function doesn't use any of the built-in hook function, the function cannot be called a hook. A hook function needs to invoke at least one React built-in hook. To make our life easier, the React convention is to prefix the hook function with the name use. So you might ask, what would happen if I mistakenly invoke a hook function outside of a React component? Say we just invoke useToggle directly. First of all, the code won't run properly. Second of all, React can throw you an error, as you can see on the screen, which says hooks can only be called inside the body of a function component. So basically, once you design a hook, you can only use it inside a function component. All the components we have written so far are function components. Therefore, as long as you use the hook inside them, you shouldn't run into any problems. Before I close the discussion, I want to show you a website, usehooks.com, where it provides you all easy to understand code examples to help you learn how hooks work and also inspire you to take advantage of them in your next project. Notice this learning website material isn't production ready, so they are only there to help you see why people create so many of them and how each of them is created and crafted from scratch in an educational format. All right, from now on, whenever we see fit in this series, we'll start to refactor things into reusable units, for example, component or hooks. This way, by the end of the project, we can have a manageable, or using industry terminology, scalable website. All right, cool. In next video, we'll introduce you our next React building hook, use memo. See you there.